Week 6 in the Arenalacrosseleague continues from the Toronto Rock Athletic Center, home of the Monarchs, as they welcome the Oshawa Outlaws on this Saturday, January the 18th, 2025. Hello, everyone. Jason Davidson working alongside Lance Wynn and JVI Productions. Our starting goaltenders today, starting with Oshawa, we got number 1, Jackson Brown, where the Monarchs will counter with number 31, Sam Haynes for Toronto, wearing their home whites. Of course, official for today's game, Kyle Courtier is the crew chief. He's with Mark Smith and Jacob Singleton. Head coaches for the Outlaws, Joe Hiltz. Assistants, Todd Wilfon, Neil Pike, and Justin Warner. And for the Monarchs in his first season, running the bench, Nick Krabinsek. Assistants are Justin Wilson Kirby and Ryan Kelly Lance. Great for ready for a big one on this matinee Saturday.
Well, an important one too, Jason. Welcome to the booth. Glad to have you. Glad
Pleasure.
to be reunite with you. It's been a while since the CBC days. When you look at these two teams, Oshawa comes in 1-4. They've struggled. They've dropped their last two. The Monarchs lost their last one, but they've been playing some good lacrosse, sitting now at 2-3. So this is a pivotal battle. Two teams very evenly matched.
Two teams that want to get back on the win column. We're underway with quarter number 1. And right off the hop, it's Harlan for Toronto. Harlan gets it to Jameson Dilks. And Thompson, wearing number 68.
You look at this offense, Jason, and these guys are lethal. You keep your eye on Tanner Buck wearing number 8. So we'll have our first penalty, and of course, Pfeiffer, one of the Fife Dog crew, as him and his brother are one of the leaders in scoring. So Parker and Devin, the two, keep an eye on them. And there are a few others sprinkled in there, including Riley Ford, another strong offensive threat. But really, when push comes to shove, the main guy out there, the quarterback, is Jordan Dance.
Parker Pfeiffer and Tanner Buck tied for the Monarchs scoring lead with 27 points apiece. And they go to work with an early power play. And that is the captain in the box.
So early penalty, and I tell you, this is a good power play unit. These Monarchs come in, of course, at a 52% efficiency rate, so certainly need to up that a bit, and Nick Krabinsek and the coaching staff will tell you about that. But defensively, keep an eye on Toronto and their transition game led by Patrick Thompson. Got to keep an eye on the big man.
And one guy to keep an eye on in possession right now is number 7 for Oshawa, John St. John, the league's leading scorer. There's a shot, quick release there. And steered aside.
Well, John St. John is the master facilitator. He's a leader on this team. He does whatever is needed, whether it be play defense in a man-short situation or lead the offense. He's their go-to guy.
That shot from Pfeiffer deflected. It goes off the glass. 10 seconds left on the shot clock. And Dance will let it go as they battle for possession. Halfway through the penalty to Chris Veltman.
Good work defensively by Oshawa. That was a good defensive hold. Josh Tagore with great speed. He's a really hard worker, tenacious, and he's one of the guys you want out there playing both ends when you need to kill a penalty.
Adam Haralak to Rodding. Centering feed, there's a shot, and there is a goal. Short-handed. Austin Blumberg's number 8 gets things rolling.
Well, a good job there to find the big man floating around right on that doorstep there, and he did a good job to create some space, but it was that pass that was on the money, gave him the opportunity, and you can see first power play attempt for Toronto end up giving up a shorty instead of taking the lead.
So mission accomplished for Oshawa so far. Still 20 seconds on the penalty kill, mind you. Now the Monarchs look to respond. Here's Walker, spins around, drops it off for Thompson. Thompson takes a tumble. So Toguri and Haralak with the helpers on the tally from Blumbergs. And we're back to even strength just under 3 minutes in.
First offensive set for these Outlaws in a 5-on-5 scenario, and you saw a little slow, good defense by the Monarchs, but give Oshawa credit. Their defense has stood tall early in this one.
There's a shot, and it's handled by Jackson Brown, number 1. The tender for Oshawa, who clears it out. Up ahead for Nolan. That's Ryan Nolan, number 45, pass. Unable to corral Gareth Haig, one of the Haig brothers on this Oshawa roster.
Well, and now to give me a chance to send a shout out, of course, to the mom and grandma of the Hags, as well as Lori and John Zabo, the parents of Joey Zabo, out there playing. All of them playing together, played their minor lacrosse. And now you see what a save.
That was terrific. That was short range, too. Close range shot. And Jackson Brown saw it all the way. It remains 1-0 as we approach the 4-minute mark of the first quarter. Oshawa grabs possession.
Well, that's one of the things that Chris Veltman brings, of course, beside the lineage, of course, Dad, legendary Jim Veltman, and Chris, bigger, little stronger, more defensive-minded than his dad, and he anchors the defense for these Outlaws.
Bloodlines are commonplace in lacrosse, Lance.
Sure are.
St. John with possession. Shot clock winding down. St. John cuts in, lets it go. Unable to beat Sam Haynes. And here comes Toronto the other way. Battersby, number 16, leaves it for Gesso. Gesso looking for options. Finds one in Buck. And cutting down low with the quick shot, Lucas Ferreira.
Luckily, they got an arm on Ferreira. He's dangerous inside that dotted half circle.
Changes made on both sides.
Bit of a different offensive set. You got Josh Gilray, the veteran, out there on that right crease.
There's a shot steered aside. Quick release there.
So, Jason, you see that one off the post in the Arena Lacrosse League, the 30-20 shot clock.
Yep.
So that reset to 20 after the possession.
It's a new rule change that a lot of people are still familiarizing themselves with, Lance.
Well, it is. It was one that was incorporated in as we're going to have another Oshawa penalty. And it was done to increase the offensive flow. So you get it at 30 seconds on your first possession. If you regain possession during that sequence, the clock will get reset to 20 each time. So you go from 30 to 20, so it just speeds things up. It was a concept developed by all league president Paul St. John, and it has really been something that's been positive.
They didn't succeed on their first power play. At this time, they do. Parker Pfeiffer down low and ties things up, and it took just 9 seconds on the penalty to James Whiteford, and we're level at ones over 5 minutes in.
Well, if you haven't heard about Parker Pfeiffer, the thing about him is he's a ball hawk. And not only does he have plenty of skills,
he wants
but
possession.
He works hard, and he's always around. Good job of anticipating that ball coming out. He was right there on the edge of the crease, able to pick that up and pocket it in the open net.
So we're all square once again. 5.5 minutes gone. Oshawa and Toronto here in Oakville on this Saturday afternoon. Glad to have you aboard.
So they're going to call possession. Could have very easily called an illegal cross-check there, but taking Dance out on the play, and you give Toronto opportunities, they'll take advantage.
There's a quick shot from Pfeiffer.
Like that matchup, Ryan Haig against Parker Pfeiffer. That battle's gonna go on all game.
Here comes Toguri for Oshawa now. Circles around, leaves it for St. John. St. John evades the check from Jamison Dilks. And that one will break through. So down low, just like that. Oshawa retakes the lead, Lance.
Well, you know what, Jay? And that's an example there of Roding using his size and what most guys would be. It would be a crease dive. His was more just a stand-up dunk. He's got that reach. And
I was going to say, you can't miss number 51, Oshawa, on the floor.
No, absolutely, and a good job there hovering around the crease. So give him some credit for his creativity and being able to execute.
So 2-1 Oshawa. They restore the advantage. They open the scoring, of course, shorthanded early in this first quarter, and here they come again. Millsap sends it over. Josh Gilray, one of the alternate captains on the Oshawa squad. Now it's St. John. He's always closely watched. That shot stopped. Nice release there from James Whiteford.
Well, it took Oshawa a long time to get into their offense there, and hence the reason they only got that one shot in that offensive set. But I think they've got to smooth that out a bit. That's been one of the problems they've had, one of the issues they've had, is just finding that offensive chemistry.
Patrick Thompson with that last shot. Sailed one over the net. There's a chance. Stopped. Jackson Brown holding the fort. And
He'll
here
get
comes
tested
Oshawa.
today. Some good shooters on that left side for the Monarchs. Between Tanner Buck and Jordan Dance, Riley Ford, they're going to have their hands. He's going to have his hands full. He'll see lots of different shots.
St. John cutting. Oh, nice little behind the back pass. And now it's corralled. St. John again down low. Was trying to connect with Haralac, but the shot clock expires. So we'll take a break and come back. We're halfway through quarter number 1. And welcome back to Toronto Rock Athletic Center. Jason Davidson and Lance Wynn, JVI Productions. Lance, we got a nice little turnout this afternoon as well.
Well, you know what? The Monarchs can bring in some fans, that's for sure. And you talk about Oshawa on the east side, they usually pack the house at Children's Arena. So good to see some of the fans have made it out in this snowy afternoon here.
Temperatures expected to drop in the Toronto area later tonight. And the temperature is just starting to rise in this contest. 2-1 Oshawa, 8 minutes gone in the first quarter.
A good backhand attempt by Pfeiffer, but you saw right on. And
there, they get it through. What a pass by Gareth Haig to get it to Josh Gilray.
Well, that was probably the best offensive set we've seen from the Outlaws so far in this game, and it came in transition. They didn't worry about setting things up and using that whole offense-defensive change. They took it right to the Monarchs, and it paid off with a big transition goal.
So 3-1 the score, 6:51 remaining in this opening 15.
Of course, last week, Jason, it was a tough loss for the Oshawa Outlaws, losing 11-9 to the defending champions from Whitby, and an even tougher loss for the Monarchs as they fell to the Peterborough Timbermen 11-10. That one went to overtime.
And when you lose to your Durham region rival, that's going to leave a sour taste in your mouth. Gareth Haig, number 3.
Well, you usually see Gareth out there on offense. Ryan is usually their draw man. He's the specialist inside that face-off circle.
Cody Menzies. Ten seconds left on the shot clock. Sent across for Lucas Ferreira. As he takes a bump on the end boards, tries the old circus move, nothing doing. Some strong defending there, Lance, on that sequence by Oshawa.
Good job, Oshawa, really working hard to get at those loose balls, and that's one of the things that Ryan Nolan, the KG vet, will bring to the table. he has a good understanding of where that ball is and the best way to get it.
That shot comes in from Josh Gilray. Bit of a collision on the far boards.
Of course, today the Oshawa Outlaws offensively missing one of their top snipers in Luke Laskowitz, not here. Luke, of course, puts up big numbers, 13 goals. He's added in a few helpers as well, but he is a goal-scoring specialist.
And you got to remember, it's really impressive when you look at the statistics at the end of the season. It's a 14-game season. So those numbers could rack up pretty fast.
Well, they can, and a little bit different now since the game has evolved into an offensive-defensive game and not both ways. So you can have specialists out there, but that doesn't take away the art of scoring goals and the way they're scored.
St. John feeds it across. Just out of the reach of Austin Blumbergs. And here come the Monarchs the other way, trying to get back to within one. Changes made on both sides. Gesso, Ty Gesso, number 33, leaves it to Pfeiffer. And that shot will get through. Low shot coming from Dawson Battersby. And it's a 3-2 game with 4:19 to go in quarter number one.
Well, Battersby, of course, spent his early part of the Arenalacrosseleague with the Brampton Express, has come over to Toronto this year, and he adds another dimension offensively to this Monarchs team with some help. You can see that Jordan Dance, again, they're orchestrating more so than being the finisher, and always good to get everyone involved before you need to go to your big guns, that, of course, being Dance and Tanner Buck.
So 3-2 the score.
Two of the best in the face-off circle, Ben Heidecker and Ryan Haig, and give Heidecker that one. So far they've split the possessions. We'll keep an eye on that throughout.
Here's Thompson. Gets it across to the captain. Jordan Dance, number 23, taken down. And here come the Outlaws. Webb is denied.
Big save there.
Quick transition play there, Lance.
It sure was. Big opportunity, and that's where goaltending certainly comes into play here, and that was a big save.
So let's see if that sparks the Monarchs a bit. Under some pressure is Dance. And now it's Oshawa. Dance with a bit of a hack on Millsap. And Dance is taken down.
Well, give Dan some credit. He got worked over pretty good in the offensive end, but worked his way back, hustled back to do some back checking. And
didn't take long for the physicality to kick in.
Definitely not. And with 3 minutes left here, looking for that advantage, and almost got one there, rung that one off the pipe.
Terrific chance for Ty Gesso, right the other way, and that one is off the mark. Ryan Haig, and just like that, maybe a corral off the end boards, fortuitous bounce, if you will, for the Oshawa Outlaws, and it's a 4-2 game.
Well, we've seen a lot of creativity in this game over the years. One of them is the ability to play the carom off the backboards, and that was just an outstanding job by Blumbergs to pick up his second, following up on the play. And a lot of times players will give up knowing, especially on a breakaway, thinking that's going to be either in or stopped, and don't follow that up. Blumberg's doing a good job to stay right in stride. As you can see, Haig will even that series off with a win there and give the Outlaws another possession.
And now it's Ryan Nolan. Over to Gareth Haig. Haig will cut in and just bounce one wide on the glove side.
Haig likes to do that, come across, go airborne. It makes it awfully tough for the goaltender to pick up that ball.
Shot clock expires. And here come the Monarchs with speed. Chris Harland lets one go, and that's denied. Brown, good save there, read it all the way. Final 2 minutes of the opening quarter, Lance.
Well, if you're going to beat either of these two goalies, it's going to be in close proximity, probably inside the dotted half circle. Anything on the outside, these guys seem to have a good handle on.
Page. Now it's St. John. Always have to keep an eye on him. And Rodding lets the shot go. Doesn't make it through.
So they'll reset it at the top. No penalty. I wasn't sure if there's a penalty called, and there is. It looks like it's going to be a holding on Battersby.
Yep.
So that'll give Oshawa another chance in the power play.
And try and make it a the gap hasn't been more than 2 in this contest so far. A great chance here for Oshawa to go up 3. So holding the stick is the call. Here's St. John, flips it back. Great short-range pass, and it sneaks through. Just a set play there, and the power play not messing around. All it took was 17 seconds to make it a 3-goal game.
No, you like that because what the Outlaws have struggled with has been executing, and that right there was a prime example. It gave everyone a touch, went around the horn, and then the set play with Gilray finishing with the quick stick at the end. That is just textbook lacrosse there, and well done by the Outlaws.
Action resumes. So great job by Gilray on a play that was started by John St. John as we hit the final
good job
minute.
by Joe Zabo there to
Also,
keep
yes.
his feet on the right side of the line. Well, whatever Blumberg's had to eat before this game, he needs to have it again because he's been lighting it up. That's his second of the game. Beauty bounce shot, 5-hole, and Oshawa jumping out to a lead.
It almost seems like the momentum on their sideline started right with that shorthanded goal to kick things off.
Well, it's a game of runs, right? Similar to basketball, and that's the way lacrosse runs. Momentum, a big thing, and if you can get on a roll, it makes it awfully difficult for a team to find their rhythm, and right now Oshawa is doing the right things.
And don't let a 4-goal margin deceive you. That could change just like that.
Fastest game on 2 feet.
That's right.
Down inside the final 30 seconds here of this quarter.
Yeah. They got to get a shot off quick here. St. John. That pass out of the reach. They let it go quick. And it looks like the Monarchs will have the final possession of the quarter. Toronto calls timeout. We'll come back with the balance of quarter number 1. All right, so Toronto calls timeout. Lance, 16.8 seconds left in this first quarter. They will have possession and try perhaps make it a 6-3 game heading to the second.
Well, I think important here. This is a momentum thing for the Monarchs here. You see the net empty for the extra attacker, and important now just to let the clock wind down. They'll keep it to within 5, and that's when they'll go to work.
And that's a pretty low-risk move to do that, too, to take the goalie out this stage.
You only need a couple seconds.
There's a shot from the captain, block dance. Looks like it was Noah Millsap getting in the way as the first quarter comes to its expiration. 6-2 is the score in favor of the Oshawa Outlaws over the Toronto Monarchs. So we'll take another timeout and we'll come back with the second quarter after this. And welcome back to Toronto Rock Athletic Center. Jason Davidson and Lance Wynn with you here. Week 6, Arenalacrosseleague action. It's the Oshawa Outlaws with a great start, up 6-2 on the Toronto Monarchs, Lance.
Well, a good start, and that's what they needed. If you're Joe Hilton Company, you hadn't gotten off to a very good start and haven't been able to finish very well, but In this case, of course, the good start is what matters. They have dropped 2 of their 4 games by a goal or less, and that's one of the issues, of course, one of the wrinkles they're trying to iron out here.
Blumbergs for Oshawa. We'll send it over. Page with a little give and go. And it's picked off by the Monarchs. Here they come the other way.
Mason Kaminga, he's their defensive specialist, and tell you, Kaminga, he brings it.
And what a chance down low there for
Great
Fife.
save on a diving try by Pfeiffer. Both goaltenders on their game here today.
Up ahead. Colton Paget will take his time, wait for some help.
Best thing to do, the Monarchs defense was already back and set.
St. John centers it on the far side, from the far side, and it was handled.
Well, rung
by
that off
Sam
the
Haynes.
pipe. Great fake.
That's right. Thompson takes the return feed shot. And it looks like it was Jackson Brown getting just enough of it.
Well, you know what? That was a case there where Pfeiffer probably should have kept it himself. He was on his right stick side, and that wasn't the case for Thompson, and he had to try a twister because he was on the wrong side of the floor. And once you do that, takes away a lot of the angle and the accuracy.
That shot from forward is handled as well. And here comes Oshawa. Jeff Geddes, number 5.
Well, Geddes, another defensive specialist. Good to see him simplifying the game, and got great speed, good hands, and works hard, and tough defender to shed, I'll tell you that.
Page was being watched closely, had to send it off. And the Monarchs will bring it the other way. Jennings waiting for some help off the bench. Pfeiffer. Here's Buck, number 8. Being watched closely.
Buck waited to the
Almost snuck it through.
Well, he waited to the last second. He was faking the shovel pass back, and instead.
And what can you say about number 7 for Oshawa?
Well, you say the master facilitator just became the master finisher, as that was a beauty fake. It started with a good pass to catch him in stride, cutting to the middle of the floor, and great fake by John St. John, and even better to change the angle from up right to down and slid that one 5-hole, and that was just another beauty courtesy of Mr. St. John.
And a reminder coming in today, this game notwithstanding, 11 goals and 36 points in just 5 games.
And if you've
Remarkable.
if you've been following the Arenalacrosse League, you know he's the all-time leading point getter, and that's just what he does. That's his everyday thing, and that's what he brings to the table, and not only a consummate professional, but an outstanding teammate as well.
So the lead is 5 for Oshawa. They're looking for more. That shot is stopped off the release from Gareth Haig.
Well, I tell you, we haven't seen the best yet of Toronto. I expect them to go on a run sooner rather than later. They tend to stay dormant for a bit, and then their goals come in bunches, so it'll be interesting to see here, and could be an opportunity here.
Yeah, Hodgins maybe gets the return feed. No, they shoot instead. There he is, number 15.
Well, the ball hawk, and he knows where to go, and not only is he able to know where to go to get the ball, but it's about his movement without the ball, and when he takes that, the cut back inside on a defender, watch the defender to go by and put it in the corner from whence he came.
And
impressive.
And that is well known. He wants the ball.
Well, listen, there isn't a Pfeiffer around doesn't want the ball, that's for sure, and they know what to do with it, and he certainly is doing his thing there.
All right, so signs of life from the Toronto Monarchs. They get to within 4. Here's Webb for Oshawa.
Assist by number 13 on Hodgins. Number 31 Haynes. Pfeiffer from Hodgins. And Haynes. 5 goal, 3 assists.
Nice pass there. Almost looked like a fake shot, and they elected the pass at the last second, and it works out.
Well, that was just a good job. Josh Gilray had the option whether or not to take that shot. He was in good shooting position, but saw a man in just a little tighter. And, you know, when you're sharing the ball like Oshawa's doing right now, though, good things are going to happen. And right now, they've certainly putting together their best quarter of this season so far. Different looking team. Last year, of course, they had Chris Atwood on the right side. Before that, Luke Laskowitz. Luke has returned, but not on a full-time basis, and really changes the strategy for the coaching staff offensively for Oshawa coming into each and every game.
So I believe that latest tally will be credited to James Whiteford. Yes, indeed. Here they come for more. That one catches a piece of the bar.
Good attempt there, but a good job closing off that short side, limiting the options.
Hodgins, who set up Pfeiffer on that last Toronto tally. Here's a shot from the captain.
Well, that's the dancer. Through. That's a dancer. Tell you, great spin move, but offensively, his decision-making is what separates him from the average lacrosse player, knowing when to shoot and when to pass, and he's got such a quick release. You saw how quick that ball was out of the pocket of his stick and through the wickets, and Jordan Dance on the board for the first time. Good sign for the Monarchs.
And that's the importance of peripheral vision, right? Knowing when to shoot and when to pass, as you just mentioned, Lance.
Well, being able to do that in the split second is what's the real.
You got to decide if you have a shot or not.
That's right, and you.
So the Monarchs back to within 4. Dilks will pass it off, head for a change.
Well, they need something from this guy, Patrick Thompson. He's one of the difference makers. He's their transition weapon, and if they can get him going, then they'll be really dangerous.
There's a shot that stopped. That shot coming from Cody Menzies. Now it's Oshawa. Blumbergs will settle things down a little bit.
Like to see Cody Menzies getting a little more offensive playing time, working with the Monarchs.
Five minutes gone in the second quarter. I was going to say Oshawa 8, Toronto 4. Well, I'll make it 9-4 now.
Well, I think that was the difference there was Rodding caught Haynes a little off balance. Haynes didn't have his feet set, and Rodding just came with that shot low and to the far corner, and Haynes wasn't able to shuffle his feet or dance to the beat in time to get a piece of that one.
So Angus Rodding from Gareth Haig drawing the primary assist. Oshawa 1 goal shy of hitting the double-digit mark, and here they come. Streaking in was Carter Page. St. John down low. Shot clock expiring.
And looking for an interference call, but not getting it as Page took a hard hit on that attempt. And good defensive hold by the Monarchs.
Jameson Dilks. Dance gets the return pass. Dance will let one go. Low shot steered aside as they battle on the near boards. And Oshawa comes up with it. Breakout pass for Sear. And Sear will have to wait for some help off the bench. And Sear will head off. You can hear them yelling clock from the bench. Doesn't look like Oshawa will get a shot away. They will not.
Well,
Here come the Monarchs.
Took way too long to get their personnel out there and get into their half-court set.
That line change proved costly.
Well, you got to remember on the switches too, with the benches, you go from the short change to a long change, and this, of course, the long change. Great try by Pfeiffer. I mean, Buck will find Pfeiffer wherever he is. That combination has great chemistry.
They know where to find each other. They know where each other is positioned at all times. Now it's Oshawa the other way. James Whiteford, who scored just earlier in this frame. About to hit the halfway mark of quarter number 2. 9-4 Oshawa in the lead over Toronto.
I want to mention, of course, James Whiteford just coming over to the Outlaws, and a welcome addition for sure, as very talented offensive threat.
That centering feed looks like it was intended for Jordan Dance right in front, but he was tied up.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing. You
Good
have to keep an eye on Dance at all times. He is in perpetual motion.
That was a nice little attempt. And we'll take a break. 6:58 to go in the second quarter. We'll be back after this. We are back at the Toronto Rock Athletic Center. 9-4 lead for Oshawa over Toronto. 6:58 to go in this second quarter, Lance.
Well, it's been an outstanding performance up to this point for the Oshawa offense. I think it's been very fluid. They've shared the ball. The ball movement has been excellent. They've found open cutters, and they've made it difficult on the Monarchs defense to keep a close eye on some of their scoring threats, and just really working hard. Monarchs, I think, though, they're a team that go up and down on a regular basis, so expect them to pick it up a notch anytime Patrick Thompson.
Case in point, the aforementioned curbs the deficit to 4. Just what they needed.
Absolute transition goal, and a lot of times in the Arenalacrosseleague, teams are even 5-on-5, offensively, defensively. So where's the difference? Specialty teams, of course, 1 and 2 is transition, and Patrick Thompson, one of the best transition players in the all, and he showed it right there. Not only his ability to get open, but his ability to finish.
So 9-5 is your score as we enter the late stages of this second quarter. And now if you're Oshawa, you got to remember, hey, you're up 4, but don't get too comfortable.
Well, I think it's too early to get any kind of comfort. So I think both these two teams now are trying their best to sustain as much momentum as possible, as you head into that locker room at halftime. But right now, an answer from Oshawa would be work well in their favor. Toronto needs a hold here, get possession again.
Page and Thompson with a little pushing and shoving. And then Thompson rubs out Page on the near boards. So there we go. And here comes Toronto. That was a great chance there for Cohen Jennings, number 10.
Goaltender's best friend, the iron on both sides, and then one big long one off the top.
And there's a shot from Cody Ennis, which is denied. And Nolan will corral for the Oshawa Outlaws.
Well, Monarchs are going to need something from Cody Ennis, too. He's come in and put together his first season in the Arenalacrosseleague, and he definitely needs to step up a bit here in this game. And there are a couple of weapons for Toronto that need to get going here. Thompson was one, Ennis another.
Here's Harris for the Monarchs. Harris gets around Webb, drops it off for Buck. Back to Dance it goes, and returns it to Buck.
The unit out here now offensively, the strongest for the Monarchs.
Pfeiffer was trying to centering feed there just before the shot clock ran out. Nothing doing. Here comes Webb for Oshawa. Under 5 minutes to go in the second quarter.
Good decision by Webb not to check the back door on that one, to hold on to it and set up the offense.
Harwalak gets it over. And there's the big physical presence, Angus Rodding, who was turned aside. Monarchs coming the other way. Delayed penalty coming up. So the Monarchs will go to the power play.
A slashing call on the play, and good call, of course, but again, transition really puts the pressure on the defense, and when the Monarchs have three big bodies coming right at you, full steam, you got to do something, anything, to just slow them down just a bit.
So that penalty is assessed to John St. John. Dance. Fakes a shot, lets it rip. He's denied. Good read there by Jackson Brown. And here comes Oshawa shorthanded. He's already scored one. Down a man, and they get another one. And they hit double digits.
Well, how about Noah Millsap making the right decision there? He had Josh Tagore right stick side to his right, but Walt straight in there, and when the defender doesn't commit and you're in prime shooting territory, you take that shot, and that's exactly what Millsap did. So a good job there to answer, and every time the Monarchs seem to come up with something, pull it out of their pocket, the Outlaws have a response.
So 10-5 is the score, 4:11 remaining in the second quarter. Keep in mind, still about 90 seconds or so in the penalty to St. John, but here comes Oshawa again shorthanded. Oh, unable to corral Josh Tagore, number 11.
Well,
and
tough
now
chance.
He'll settle things down.
Tough chance. Time to burn some time here. Still a minute 20 left to kill, so Tagore is going to go for a little bit of a run.
And no need to rush here. Yes, there's a shot clock, but you're on the penalty kill. There's a centering feed. Now I'll ring off the boards. And there's a quick short-range shot from Carter Page. And they're saying, leave it, leave it. So there's your example where the shot clock goes down to 20 from 30.
Well, they wanted to leave it to see if they could burn a few more seconds off before restarting
so
that 20.
That was some textbook penalty killing right there from Oshawa. There's a shot. And you know what? You really notice that 10-second differential, how quickly it can elapse, right?
Yeah, and the guys on offense certainly do too. They know that they don't have all that much time.
They have the awareness.
To go around the horn, and you just have to speed things up just a bit. And it allows the players to go a little more on instinct than diagram plays.
Well, they do get one back on the power play. Tanner Buck. As John St. John was 17 seconds shy of coming out of the box.
Well, Tanner Buck's been quiet in this game. If you notice, Tanner Buck comes in, one of the leading scorers on this Monarchs team, and he's been facilitating. He hasn't been finishing, and good to see him sort of get the engine revved up now. And you can tell, closing this deficit, that the Monarchs are starting to find a little bit more flow here.
So 10-6, 2:48 to go in the second. We'll see how things stand at half after this quarter. Heidecker. And that ball goes into the bench area. I think for Oshawa, yeah, you gave one up on the power play, but you scored shorthanded as well. You got two shorthanded goals today. I think they have to be happy with their special teams overall.
Well, that's a beauty answer there by Haig. And yeah, you figure you go 1-1, they cancel each other off. So you come out of that one even, but a big response there by the Outlaws as they continue to roll here.
So they restore the 5-goal advantage.
I bet the Monarchs coaching staff will have a few choice words for their squad here to pick things up.
Yeah. Earmuffs may be required.
Well, head coach Nick Krepicek not behind the bench, so his assistants have taken over the helm. So sometimes just takes a little bit of time to players to sort of take their direction from someone different. You know that Krepicek certainly one of the most well-prepared coaches in the league, has his coaching staff with a game plan, and it's up to them to execute.
Gilray, 2 minutes to go in the second. Shot clock down to 5. There's a quick shot. It's kicked out. The clock resets to 20. Down low.
I like
Good
that
chance
duck-in
there.
move from Blumberg's. Boy, you talk creativity. That's a big man, agile, able to bend, fold himself in half, and then pop right out of it to get a shot off.
Here's Dance for the Monarchs. Spins off the check, lets it go. Unable to break through.
Best spin move in the league, Jordan Dance.
A guy named Dance with some moves, that makes sense.
I'm just telling you, that's why he's the dancer.
Down to final minute of this half. So maybe a possession each the rest of the way.
Well, we'll have to wait and
Could
see.
be more,
St.
you
John
never know.
try to go for the 2-for-1 here if they push the issue. Big matchup there, Pfeiffer and St. John. And
Good read to pick off that pass. Nice job by Thompson. But it gets away from him. And Brown will launch it down. And here comes Page as the shot clock runs out.
there was no reset on the play, and that's where they missed the bit of confusion on the Outlaws end.
There you go. Sam Hayes heads to the bench. Monarchs with likely the final possession.
They're going to hold on to it long as they can here.
Back to Pfeiffer. Down low. Dance shot stopped.
Could be a shot attempt here.
Here we go. But they run out of time. 11-6 is the score. Oshawa in the lead. 5-goal lead over Toronto as we hit the halfway point here at the Toronto Rock Athletic Center. So we'll take a break for the intermission. And we'll come back with the third 15 after this on JVI. And welcome back to the Toronto Rock Athletic Center. Jason Davidson alongside Lance Wynn, 11-6 score after 2 quarters of play for Oshawa. And they really did set the tone early with that shorthanded goal, Lance.
Well, they did, and that was the thing. It was important for Oshawa to get off to a good start. You're struggling. You're 1-4 right now heading into week 6 here, and they put together their best offensive half so far this season, did a good job moving the ball, sharing the ball, and putting the ball in the back of the net. It'd be interesting, though, to see what the pep talk is for the Monarchs and how they come out. Pivotal moment here in the early part of this third quarter.
And the third quarter is underway. And the Monarchs will come up with possession. They trail by 5. Still lots of time left in this one. Pfeiffer. Sends it across the other side to Jordan Dance. And there's a low shot. That skips wide. Another chance. Here's a shot. And just the start to the second half that was needed for the Toronto Monarchs. They're within 4.
Well, give Riley Ford credit there. He hasn't popped one in yet, but great job with the shot clock winding down. Ford, good composure, got it to Buck in a good spot, and you give Tanner Buck that kind of room, and 8 out of 10 times that's going to find the back of the net. The other 2 will mean he may have shot wide. That's about it, but good job by the Monarchs, and just like you said, Jay, good start, the start they wanted
Hey,
to
8
this
out
third.
of 10, that's a high conversion rate. It took only 39 seconds to make it 11-7. Back comes Oshawa. Joey Zabo dealing with some double coverage. Patrick Thompson in there.
Well, you like that effort from Zabo, just didn't get any help.
Yeah. Jennings feeds it to Ben Heidecker, and he was turned away by Jackson Brown.
Well,
He's had to
tough
make some
Jets.
great saves so far.
Great save. Heidecker had a golden opportunity. Back-to-back goals for the Monarchs would have been big early on here. But, again, goaltending standing in the way. Timely saves. That's what's important.
Here come the Monarchs. It's Thompson. Oh, he's got the captain dance.
Well, you talk about transition opportunities, and right now, Jackson Brown is doing his thing because those were two big saves to keep this game exactly where it is.
And that was very close to being an 8th goal for the Toronto Monarchs. Meantime, Oshawa, they come back just like that.
Well,
and it can happen in the blink of an eye, Lance.
Well, you look at that sequence and you talk about, and we've seen it in hockey a lot, where a goaltender went and makes a great save, and then that translates into an opportunity at the other end, and that was just the case there. Josh Gilray, the veteran, doing a great job of staying composed and making sure that he finished strong. He's had himself a good game so far here, as have the rest of the Outlaws.
So 12-7 Outlaws, $1.40 and change into quarter number 3. And now racing back for it is Toguri, who takes a bump on the boards from Rob Harris.
Assist by number 26, Gabe Whiteford. Number 18.
And tack on another point for James Whiteford.
Great skip pass down the floor. That was dangerous, as you saw Hodgkins almost got a stick on it and knocked it down.
St. John. There's a shot, quick release from Gareth Haig. And that's denied by Sam Haynes. Rodding to St. John. St. John, nice little pivot move there. Low shot, breaks through.
Come on, it doesn't get any shorter than that short side. That's the shortest of short sides.
When you're a part of the history books in this league,
well, I don't even
convert.
I don't even know how St. John even saw. That was a sliver of daylight there that he had, but great job to use a defender as a screen and slid that by the leg of the defender and then right into the short side. And I tell you, when push came to shove, I don't even think Haynes saw that one until it was in the back of the net.
So the lead is now 6 for Oshawa, just over 2.5 minutes gone in this third quarter.
Well, that's the difference. 2 big transition saves that would have gotten the Monarchs 2 goals closer. Instead, the Outlaws respond and answer with 2 of their own. So really, when you look at it, that's a 4-goal swing just on a couple of plays.
Here's James Whiteford.
James Whiteford, a really good pickup for these Outlaws. As soon as he gets comfortable, he's going to fit in nicely into this offense.
And I don't think it's going to take long for him to get comfortable. Here's Thompson for the Monarchs now. He'll let one go. Low shot is stopped. Thompson trying to get it back, and it's scooped up by Ryan Nolan, number 45, who gets it over to Niall Sear.
Oh, good job by Nolan again. Once again, a veteran, as right place, right time, and a lot of times overmatched size-wise, but in his experience, that's where he utilizes and gets the advantage.
St. John takes a bump. That came courtesy of Matt Hodgins. Meantime, that shot, maybe a decoy, if you will. Angus Rodding converts. And Oshawa are just taking command of this contest. It's 14-8.
Well, Rodney is doing a great job of moving without the ball, and his teammates doing a better job of finding him in the right spot. That was a tricky one, and if you're Haynes, you're certainly not pleased with yourself there. When a guy scores down on the crease, wrong stick side, he was able to slip that on the far corner. And if you ask Sam Haynes, can I get that back, and do you want it back, I'm sure he'd say yes, sir. But unfortunately not the case. Monarchs going to have to tighten things up here, as the Outlaws right now taking it to them hard.
Joey Zabo will flip it over to Whiteford. Whiteford to St. John, back to Whiteford. Whiteford cuts to the middle, shoots and scores.
Well, you talked about him fitting in. James Whiteford adding to the mix, and I think we may see a goaltending change. I think right now it looks like Sam Haynes is struggling just a bit. And I think they're going to and you see that in lacrosse, Jason, where a goaltender doesn't necessarily, that may not be the last we see of Haynes. He may come back in and take over.
I think it's more of a momentum thing sometimes. Wake up your charges. Ryan Haig. So 8-goal lead now. And James Whiteford has had a terrific afternoon.
He has, and coming in relief now is Carter Stevens. And of course, Carter Stevens, a call-up from the Arenalacrosseleague U22 League, so getting some valuable experience between the pipes for the Monarchs. Well, this is where Toronto now needs a little from Dance. They need something from the offense.
Yeah.
And between Pfeiffer and Dance and Buck, time now to step up.
And make it a goaltending change like that, it's more of a wake-up call from the coaching staff, really.
Well, it is, and you know what? You certainly have to. Good try by Geddes.
Well, Carter Stevens passed his first test, made a nice save there. 9:39 to go in the third, 15-7 the score in favor of Oshawa.
Looks like we're going to have a penalty call, too many on the floor, and I think it's going to go to Toronto. So it's going to give Oshawa another power play opportunity. And
Cody Menzies will serve.
And, of course, the too many men finger always points at the bench and the bench staff on those calls.
St. John gets it back. Dishes over. So St. John kind of quarterbacking this power play.
Well, we've seen St. John in the early part of the season. He was over at that left shooter spot and, of course, working his side between the interchange and the crease and the shooter. And now at the top where I think he's best utilized, he's the best facilitator on this team.
That one just off the mark. Good release nonetheless from Oshawa's number 7. Scooped up by Whiteford. And that will be handled by Carter Stevens. Just over a minute remaining in the penalty to Toronto. And here's Buck. Toronto would love a shorthanded tally right now. There's a great chance, and that one just missed wide.
Great pass, found Innes on a good cut. Innes just wasn't able to find that 4x4.
Nolan takes a check. Engaged in battle with Cody Innes. Now it's Page. 30 seconds left in the power play for Oshawa. St. John will walk it in. And that shot was blocked coming from Gareth Haig. And the shot clock expires. Monarchs possession.
Well, good defense by the Monarchs there. They've got the scouting report out on Gareth Haig that he'll like to take that outside shot, and a good job of really challenging him and getting some help to close off that shooting opportunity.
And Pfeiffer, by the way, was nice work there, killing off the rest of this penalty as we're back to even strength. Pfeiffer with the shot handled by Jackson Brown. Halfway through the third quarter. 15-7 the score in favor of Oshawa. Jeff Geddes will leave it back for Rodding. Rodding to St. John. St. John will march in. St. John, nice flip. Unable to corral, however, was Angus Rodding. Take a break. 7 minutes and change to go in the third quarter. Back after this. And we're back, 7:08 to go in the third quarter, 15-7 in favor of Oshawa. They're enjoying a comfortable lead, but still some time to be played. Just over 22 minutes of regulation remaining.
Yeah, there's no comfort level right now. I tell you, for either team, you're working right now. Goals can come so fast and furious in this sport that there's no room to relax. And we already seen that pair of Six Nations played last week.
Case in point, the dancer, Jordan Dance, makes it 8 for Toronto.
Well, they needed that. And they need Jordan Dance to pick up the intensity level a bit and get his teammates on the same page. And I think that could be the start there. But Paris Six Nations, Paris with a 5-goal lead with 3 minutes left, and they squandered that and ended up losing in overtime. So it just goes to show you that no lead really safe in this sport. You have to play all 4 quarters right to the end in order to pick up the W.
As we enter the late stages of this third quarter, it's Thompson.
Well, it'll be interesting to see now if Toronto can put together a bit of a run. That was an important draw there. They regained possession now. Got to get a good shot. Good high percentage shot here.
If they could get in the double digits without giving up another goal at the other end.
Well, that kind of goaltending will help for sure. They need a couple stops on defense. That's really where they've been struggling. And that's where I think they need to tighten things up. The offense will come. Their players are good enough offensively and have enough talent. It's just trying to keep this Oshawa offense in check.
That's a big save there made by Carter Stevens, who has done quite well since coming on in relief of Sam Haynes earlier in this third quarter.
Well, sometimes you just need a little bit of a change. That's all it is. Certainly no knock. And when you're a goaltender in this sport of lacrosse, you never worry about your goals against average. If you have a goals against that is under double digits, you're doing an excellent job. If not, it's more so about not making every save, but making the timely saves to keep your team in it.
Here's Rodding. Leaves it for Whiteford. Whiteford now. Rodding providing some help. St. John now. Back to Whiteford. Goes behind the back. Rebound is picked up. Caught a piece of the bar. Another chance.
Those were two outstanding saves there by the young fella as he stood tall there and point blank, back-to-back saves to keep his team in it. And we'll see if that can translate something here as they work the final 10 of the shot clock. Does Oshawa.
And that time, it breaks through. And there he is again, James Whiteford.
Well, James Whiteford's an outstanding lacrosse player, and that was the thing. 2 big saves, but great job by the Outlaws to regroup, recomposed, and then found the cutter wide open. And again, you give any of these guys in this league that kind of proximity to get your shots off, and the percentage of them putting it in the back of the net goes right up.
So Oshawa up 8, under 5 to go in the third quarter. So Carter Page and Austin Blumberg's picking up the assist on that 16th goal of the afternoon for the Oshawa Outlaws. Here's Sabo.
Well, I tell you, the Haig brothers, they're tough all around. They take a beating, keep on coming at you.
St. John steps into one, and it gets through.
Well, ring my bell, Jason Davidson, because that one rung off the iron and in. That was money in the bank, and I don't have to tell you the kid can shoot, but.
And now with the advantage 9, that is the biggest lead of the day for the Oshawa Outlaws.
It is, and St. John has really put together his finest game so far this season, and a lot of different challenges thrown at these Oshawa Outlaws personnel-wise, and roster changes and a trade here or there, and they've done a great job of managing that here today.
Zabo will head off and drop it off for Page.
Well, the one thing that Oshawa has not looked like is a 1-4 team. Certainly not here on this carpet here this afternoon.
And I believe they'll take on Paris next weekend in their
That'll
next
be
contest.
That'll be a big matchup, and
while Toronto will face Whitby.
so doesn't get any easier. The defending champs sitting a perfect 5-0 right now, and they have won some tough games, and that has really made a difference as far as parity in the league. You've got the Timmermans sitting at 4-1. They've been the beneficiary in a couple of games and have outworked teams on a couple more. So you can see another penalty as the Monarchs certainly not helping their own cause.
I believe they're going to find themselves in a 5-on-3 hole here, Lance.
And that's a big hold here and a chance now for the Outlaws really to stretch this lead right out.
So both Jameson Dilks and Matt Hodgins head to the box. So a full 5-on-3 here for Oshawa. Now here's an opportunity to really do some damage.
Oh, for sure. And you see they'll keep Webb as the safety, and they'll go with a 4-on-3 attack. And this will certainly give the young netminder Stevens some work here. I like that, though. You got to give the youngsters a chance, see where they're at, and that's how they grow. And hats off to the Monarchs coaching staff for calling the young fella up.
Colton Paget, number 15.
I tell you, quietly, Niall Sear has been doing a great job defensively for these Outlaws. He has been around the ball each and every time, has made good decisions, stayed out of the penalty box, but he's been instrumental in the good things that the Outlaws have been doing.
Unable to handle that return feed, Gareth Haig, number 3. And you mentioned that, Lance. When you're penalty killing and stuff, sometimes it's more of like it doesn't go noticed as much, so to speak, right? But it's still such an important role to play as Toronto will try and burn off some clock here.
Well, you know what? A lot of times it's the little things that lead to the big things, and that's the case in lacrosse, of course, where it's usually what happened just prior that will determine the finish of things. And a lot of times guys go unnoticed for the little things they do, a little chip in the corner and a little good cross check here to stop a guy from penetrating inside the circle. And those are the kind of things that add up in a game and really give your opportunity a chance, your offense an opportunity to really find a rhythm.
So we're under 2 to play in the third quarter. We're just on the cusp of being back to even strength. Maybe one last chance on the power play here. And we're back to 5-on-5, under 2 to go in the third. So the Monarchs kill it off. And they try and get one the other way, nothing doing. 90 seconds to go in this third frame.
Well, another good job there by Brown as he stops one in close proximity. Stevens made 2 good stops down at the other end prior to that. So both goaltenders doing their thing in the late stages here this quarter.
Whiteford was tied up. St. John drops it back for Rodding. Shot clock is a fresh 30 as Toronto takes possession. Here's Battersby. Final minute of play in the third quarter. 17-8 in favor of Oshawa. There's a shot from Pfeiffer. Turned aside. Breakout pass for Paget as he streaks in, lets it go, and is denied by Carter Stevens.
Good outlet pass. I think Paget should have did a better job at trying to get a little more to the center of the floor. He was on his wrong stick side, and that limits your angles and allows the goaltender to be able to shade or cheat one side to the other, and good read there.
Here comes Oshawa. The shot clock just about matching the game clock right now. Whiteford, empty net, extra attacker for Oshawa. Can they tack on an 18th goal? 10 seconds to go in the third. It's St. John. That pass, a lot of traffic on defense. And that will do it for the third quarter. 17-8 the score in favor of Oshawa. As we'll take a break here from the Toronto Rock Athletic Center. We'll come back with the final 15. And we're back. Jason Davidson alongside Lance Wynn. 17-8 Oshawa, Lance. 15 minutes to go, however.
Well, you look at the lead here and you figure it's within double digits, and that makes it attainable. And the question's going to be, where does the motivation come for the Monarchs? They need a little bit of a spark. They need to put together back-to-back-to-back goals, get back in it, put some of the pressure on Oshawa, and not allow that offense to run so freely of the Outlaws. And if you're Oshawa, on the flip side of things, you have to keep doing what you're doing. Important, though, you've got the momentum. You have to keep that momentum.
So here we go, fourth quarter underway. Blumbergs.
Well, I do like the changes. I like the additions on the left side for the Outlaws. Now you work with Big Roddings out there. You got Haig out there. You've got St. John on that side as well. You look over there and you see multiple weapons. Whiteford as well, and they really made a difference. And I think we're going to have a slashing penalty here.
See, Josh Gilray had his stick knocked away there.
So it looks like Harlan's going to head to the penalty box. And when we talk about momentum, playing short, that certainly doesn't help your cause. And I won't say a careless penalty there because he's going for the ball. Just a tough break results in a 2-minute minor.
So holding is the call, and Oshawa goes back to work on the man advantage. St. John steps into one. That's turned aside. It'll be corralled. And looks like another delayed penalty coming up here to Toronto. You can hear the Oshawa bench is saying, give up possession here.
Well, you wanted to give up possession because then the quicker you get your two-man advantage. But at the same time, the ball laid right out there for St. John in prime shooting territory. And while the Monarchs took a little bit of a nap, St. John decided to try to put it in the back of the net.
So Patrick Thompson heads off. So we got 90 seconds of 5-on-3 play here in favor of Oshawa.
This is the kind of thing that just doesn't get your team the momentum back. And
last thing Toronto wanted, that's for sure. But here they come, down 2. Mason Kaminga sends it back towards Jameson Dilks. Dilks will go back to Kaminga.
Well, if you've got Dilks and Kaminga out there, chances are you're killing a penalty. So I think that the Monarchs, awfully hard to climb that mountain when you're short guys, but you never worry about a guy like Pfeiffer. He's always going to give you 110.
And there he is trying to burn some more seconds off this 5-on-3 penalty kill.
Well, if you're Oshawa, you don't need to be in any maximum hurry here. You just want to be a little more deliberate about what you're doing. You want to get good shots from prime shooting territory and not have anything go off a defender and pop out for a transition opportunity shorthanded for Toronto.
St. John spins it back. That shot will not make it through. So 20 seconds left and the penalty to Harland. And still another 45 seconds to go in the penalty to Patrick Thompson. And then we'll be back to even strength. Unless Oshawa, of course, are able to pot their 18th of the afternoon.
Well, I tell you, you have to be impressed with Pfeiffer regardless because
that's
he
a great
just
work,
gave
great penalty kill work.
He just gave everything he could on really an errant outlet pass that he had to play off the glass, played it perfectly and took on 3 defenders, made them work for it. Wasn't able to get a shot off, but playing all the time, that's one of the things that coaches love.
10 seconds left. Page is denied. Back to St. John. Final seconds of this power play. St. John, point blank chance, turned aside. We're back to even strength. Full credit to the Monarchs for killing that off.
Well, you like the youngster getting the better of the veteran on that one there, and telling St. John, and you can bet that John St. John will make an adjustment. His next shot won't be in the same spot.
And here come the Monarchs. Kaminga. The aforementioned Kaminga doing some great work on the penalty kill with a scoring chance there.
Well, good effort by Kaminga, but you had one of your premier goal scorers in Pfeiffer on his right stick side out of the back door, and Kaminga on the overplay decided to take it all himself, and I don't think that's so much on him as it was on the defense. That's what they gave him, and he took what they gave him.
Is it perhaps maybe a sense of desperation almost because you're trailing by 9 at this stage?
Well, a little bit, but when you go down on a 2-on-1 and the defender overcommits and allows you to go in, you got to go in and take that shot. There's no sense in forcing that pass there. The angle's just not there. So Kaminga, though, certainly not out there for his goal-scoring prowess, and that's where the one outweighs the other. You want the guy with the better hands taking a shot.
Meantime, Toronto goes right back to the penalty kill as Matt Hodgkins goes off for 2 or less.
Well,
and
not
there's St. John in his familiar spot. Sorry, Lance.
Well, just not the first time we've seen Hodgkins in the penalty box today, and him and Dilks, and certainly you don't pin things on any one individual in this team sport, but you got to be disciplined enough to know you just came off a 5-on-3. You're still in the game and just haven't been able to get things running right.
That shot whistle wide. And it's corralled by Jennings, who's quickly chased down. Being watched closely by Whiteford.
Well, Whiteford certainly put together his best game in an Outlaws uniform. He has been solid. Well,
halfway through the power play.
What you just saw there is really what's been indicative of this game. The Outlaws just outworking the Monarchs right now, winning all the battles to the loose balls, and of course, possession, everything in this game, and you can see Oshawa spent a whole lot of time in the offensive end this quarter.
St. John passes it off, heads down low. 35 seconds left in the Oshawa power play. Here comes Harland. Pfeiffer off the bench, and he was yelling. There's a shot from Harland turned aside.
Well, that's the second time that Pfeiffer has come off the bench open and hasn't gotten the ball, and you certainly don't really fault guys for that, but at the same time, you have to be looking for your offensive threats if you're trying to come back.
Awareness is key, and that was a great little cut to the net by Tanner Buck. Tried to make something happen as the penalty to Hodgkins expires. We're back to full strength. Just over 9 minutes remaining. 17-8 Oshawa leads in this fourth quarter.
Well, good job defensively by the Monarchs. Problem is, when you're playing short, awfully hard to put the ball in the net and try and make up the difference. Not so hard for Josh Gilray.
And make it 18 as the Outlaws tack on another one.
Well, good job. And Josh Gilray has done a really good job of staying disciplined, staying within himself offensively, and he hasn't rushed too many shots, and what he's done is taken good high percentage shots, drawn penalties, and he just really has put together a poised game. He's looked like a seasoned veteran out there, and that's what the Outlaws needed coming into this one.
So the double-digit lead is there for Oshawa. Just under 9 minutes to go. Here comes Ryan Haig. We'll leave it back. Now it's Nolan. Oshawa will make some changes.
Well, Oshawa can afford to make some offensive changes. The offense has gotten a lot of work this quarter, and tough one there, went just off the head of the stick of St. John.
There's a nice breakout pass just out of the reach of Cody Innes. And also what they can afford to do, Oshawa, Lance, is really slow things down in the late stages here.
Yeah, and you expect them. Each and every possession now you would expect Oshawa to work the clock down. Don't need to rush it or take a bad shot. What you want to get it down is to within 10 or so, 5, and then go from there.
Gilray had it. It's a bit of a collision in front of the Toronto net, and here they come the other way. Hodgins takes a couple of whacks from Nolan.
Well, right now, Toronto just not crisp. Their passing just not as – it's not executed as well as it could be. Certainly not as well as the way the Outlaws are moving the ball, and that's been the difference.
Nolan feeds it off. Page takes the pass from behind the net, and he's turned aside. Past the halfway mark of this fourth quarter, 18-8 is your score in favor of the Oshawa Outlaws over the Toronto Monarchs.
Well, you see St. John doing a good job there. Pulled that one right out now. They'll let this one tick down 5 on the shot clock. Get a great shot. Who else but James Whiteford?
His name has been mentioned frequently this afternoon.
Well, it has.
Was number 26.
And, you know, when you just come over to a new team, you got to take into consideration the chemistry, the guys you're working with, and sort of how you're going to fit in best to utilize your skills with what you have with you. And James Whiteford, when you've got a John St. John working on that same side, you've got a Haig on that side, you've got guys that are talented enough to help your own cause. And Whiteford, I think, is been a good fit so far for this Outlaws team.
7 minutes to go exactly.
Well, you figure that the Monarchs right now running low on time, and they're going to have to really do something here if they're going to try to get themselves back into this one.
Even if it's just regaining some confidence heading into next week's matchup. And we'll take a break. 6:44 to go in the fourth quarter. And we're back at the track. 6:44 remaining. Lance win 19-8 in favor of Oshawa as we enter the home stretch on this Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, and we weren't sure what we were going to get with the Outlaws here today. They had been struggling, dropping their last 2 games, but they have quietly put together their best complete game of this early season, and got to be happy with what Joe Hiltz and company have done here today, coming in to hostile confines of the track and really giving the Monarchs all they could handle.
Be a nice trip back to Durham region. They're 1 away. They're on the cusp of hitting 20 today. Here's a chance at the other side for Pfeiffer, and he's turned away.
Well, Jackson Brown has been a real difference maker in this game, and he really has made some good saves and transition saves that have led to Oshawa goals at the other end, and that's been one of the things that really has kept the momentum swung in the favor of the Outlaws.
St. John lets it go as he was tied up too, still able to break free. And that's what the great players do. Here's Battersby for Toronto. See if they can get the double digits with 5.5 to go. They're at 8. Ford now. Ford cuts inside. That pass.
Well, Riley Ford's been one of those quiet guys that just hasn't really stepped up here in this game, and he comes in as one of the leading scorers on this Toronto team, and he just has been quiet. And
we're going to drop him here. We're going to have a scrap. You saw this coming, and it's the captain Dance, and he is throwing at a bit of a size disadvantage too, and they're throwing here. Oh my. Arenalacrosseleague and Dance just going. A lot of rights being thrown here. And down they go. A spirited tilt.
Well, I had initially thought that Jordan Dance had bitten off more than he can chew, but
He hung in there.
If you know anything about Jordan Dance, it's never the size of the dog, it's the size of the fight in the dog.
That's right.
That's the case there, as him and Chris Veltman, and Veltman took exception to the retaliatory hit from Dance down behind the net, and of course Veltman, certainly a hefty customer there, and an even tilt. We'll leave it at that, and we'll get back to playing some lacrosse.
I said Harlack by mistake. My apologies on that, but that was a captain's tilt.
It was, and when you look at that, you got to figure that they're going to be offsetting major penalties, and it's going to be 5-on-5, and I think that's the way things should be. And nothing staged in the Arena Lacrosse League. Let's be clear. We don't encourage fighting in this league because it's a developmental league.
Okay.
So the issue is that one wrong punch here or there changes the direction of a young man's life. So in our opinion, we certainly don't encourage any kind of stage fighting. So the whole thing at center where you're allowed to take your equipment off and square off, that doesn't work happen here. But in the flow of a game, when guys go tit for tat like they did there, sometimes it's unavoidable, and that was the case there with that one there.
And that maybe it's more like for Dance sending a message to his teammates, there's frustration there, right? So
I think you're right. I think that was partly frustration, and I think that went a long way for a little bit of motivation, and you can see there as Pfeiffer rings it off the iron. But you know what? Just that little – sometimes you're not playing for this week. You're playing for next game.
And that's what Toronto's going to try and do here with 4.5 to go. They get their 9th. This one probably a little too out of reach at this stage. But it's about building for your next outing.
Well, that's why when you're in week 6, what are you going to bring in week 7, right? And that's the thing. And speaking of which, when you're talking about the schedule tomorrow to wrap up week 6, it'll be the Paris River Wolves and the Six Nations Snipers going head-to-head at the Iroquois Lacrosse Arena on the Six Nations, the Grand River.
Yeah.
So that'll be a good one tomorrow afternoon. And in case you missed it, a convincing win last night, the Brampton Express over the Ohsweken Bears. And you talk about parity in the league. The only winless team right now is the Bears, and they've been close on a couple of occasions. So it looks like there'll be more penalties divvied out here, and that's one of the things the All really likes to do, and with you sit down, because it's not only a developmental lead for the players and the coaches, but for the officials as well, as they bounce back and forth between here and the NLL, and that sort of thing is about keeping the game in check. You don't want things to get out of control at any point in time. We're under 5 minutes to go here, and it looks like the lead and the win is going to sort of slide in favor of the Outlaws. You don't want anything to get out of hand, and that's one of the reasons the officials really clamp down late in the games.
If there's any extracurriculars going on, kind of just put a stop to it right away.
Nip
it right in the bud. That's it.
That's right. That's right. And just play the game, and that's what really it's about. And
here's Ford.
See, well, that's an opportunity there where I think Riley Ford should have at least gotten a shot off. He
I think so.
Was in good position, and now he really is going to have to work to get his shot here as the defense is already set.
And the clock's winding down. There's a nice shot from Ennis, turned away. And there's no reason to get tentative when you're down 10.
Well, sometimes there's a fine line between when do you pass and when do you take that shot. A lot of guys are pass first, shoot second. Some guys the other way around. And when you got a guy like Riley Ford who has done a really good job improving steadily over the years, he's been in the Arena Lacrosse League. He's certainly an unselfish player, and sometimes maybe makes a decision not to pass when he should probably take the shot.
There's a shot from number 7. Under 3 to go now in regulation. Kaminga.
Well, today this Oshawa team has looked like the team that got to the final last year and lost a tough one to the Whitby Steelhawks, and they hadn't looked like that team yet this season, but they certainly do here today.
And we'll have a slashing call here from the looks of it. So
Well,
we're down to 2:33 remaining in the fourth quarter. Still 12 seconds to go in the penalty to Matt Hodgins. So we'll play 4 aside for a dozen ticks.
Well, I like that call too, and that to me, Mark Smith on it. Doesn't matter when, a penalty is a penalty. Doesn't matter if it's the first quarter or the fourth quarter, and good for the officials to stay on that and keep things rolling and keep things in check.
Pfeiffer drops it back. There's a chance. Close range for Lucas Ferreira. And now Toronto on the power play for the next 90 seconds or less. 2 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. Here's Sear now for Oshawa.
Well, I don't expect Sear to do a whole lot. He'll just move it. Him and Tagore masters at killing some time. And
heads right off to the bench.
He'll go for a run and roll it, and that's exactly what he did. Job well done. And you see that Toronto has conceded a bit here, knowing that the mountain just too high on this day, but they will live to fight another day.
A chance to regroup and get ready for your next opponent. Pfeiffer. Return feed to Ty Jesso. 40 seconds left in the power play. That shot doesn't get through. And we're going to have another penalty here. I think it's another slashing call. Yes, in fact, indeed it is.
Well,
62 seconds left in regulation.
Yeah, and the rink is less one tree after that chop there, as that was an easy call. As Pfeiffer,
you can hear the hack up here.
Well, Pfeiffer's he's felt like he's been mistreated today, and it's true. He's taken a lot of gotten worked over quite a bit by the Oshawa defense, and that was probably a little bit of frustration. And
it's been a tough afternoon. You're venting some frustration late. But for the officials, last minute of play, by the way, in the fourth quarter, the officials say they're going to call it by the book right till the end. So
well, that's exactly what you want, and that's the way you keep things settled. And
yep.
You know, you just want to see this game end with no injuries, no suspensions, nothing to worry about, and put it in the books and move on.
5 on the shot clock, and it will be an abbreviated power play for Oshawa to wrap up this one. 30 seconds remaining. Here's Thompson now. Over to Ford. Ford. Here's Buck, lets it go. That's wide off the end boards. Final seconds ticking away here. And Oshawa will claim a 19-9 decision over the Toronto Monarchs, Lance. And really, again, I keep going back to it, but I think it's very important. They got that early shorthanded goal, and it just seems like momentum was on their side the rest of the way.
Well, you're right. Best game so far of the season for the Oshawa Outlaws, and they should be happy with that. When you look at the Toronto Monarchs, some work to do this week before heading into Week 7, but I expect them to be back.
Well, it's been a pleasure, my man. Great time working with you today. For everyone here at JVI Productions, for Lance Wynn, this is Jason Davidson. We'll see you next time for more Arena Lacrosse League action. Thanks for joining us.